This is the video note for Unit 5, Lesson 8, Shopping for Cats and Dogs. This is a develop understanding, so this is exploring some new ideas. We go back to Carlos and Clarita, and Clarita's pretty upset with Carlos because he's been buying cat and dog food without recording the price of each type of item in their accounting records. Instead, all Carlos has been doing is recording the total price of each purchase, even though the total cost includes more than one type of item. So now Carlos is trying to figure out the price of each type of food by reviewing some of his recent purchases. So as he's doing that, he's reviewing his first set of purchases. He realizes that he can figure out the cost of individual items just by reasoning about the numbers and the assumption that the price of each item remain the same for each shopping trip. Clarita is surprised that Carlos can find these individual prices without using tables, graphs, or equations. So we are going to help Carlos reason about his purchases in order to figure out how much each item costs. So let's and we're not going to use tables, graphs, or equations. We're just going to kind of draw out the situation and reason about it. So let's look at 1 week. So 1 week, Carlos bought 3 bags of Tabitha Tidbits and 4 bags of Figaro Flakes, and that was $43. And then the next week, he bought 3 bags of Tabitha Tidbits and this time 6 bags of Figaro Flakes for $54. So based on this information, we need to figure out the price of 1 bag of each type and explain how he got it. So in order to do this, I'm going to add a little shopping cart to my reasoning, right? Because this is basically 2 shopping trips that he did. So actually, let's duplicate it, and there we go. And he'll have 2 shopping carts, one that represents the first week and one that represents the second week. Okay, so on the first week, looks like this first shopping cart was $43. So this was $43. So I'll put that total right here. And he got 3 bags of Tabitha Tidbits and 4 bags of Figaro Flakes. So I'm just going to, within the shopping cart, put 3 T's, right? That's for Tabitha Tidbits. And then I'm going to put 4 F's. Okay. And then his second week, his second receipt, he says that he spent $54. So let's put our total here, 54. And he bought 3 bags of Tabitha Tidbits. So I'm just going to write 3 T's again. And this time 6 bags of Figaro Flakes. So we'll put 6 F's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we've drawn a diagram, right? This is not a table, graph, or equation. So now we're just going to kind of reason about what's going on in these first 2 receipts. So it looks as if he bought the same amount of Tabitha Tidbits, but for the Figaro Flakes, he's got 2 extra here on the right. Do you see that? So I'm going to highlight that here on the right. He's got 2 extra. And the second week purchase costs more money. So I think it makes sense that this extra cost is probably those 2 extra Figaro Flakes. So let's figure out what that extra cost is. Let's just subtract our 2 carts. So 54 minus 43, that's $11. So $11 must be the 2 Figaro Flakes. Okay. Since there are 2 of them, let's divide that 11 by 2. So it looks like Figaro flakes is $5.50 each. So equals $5.50 per bag of Figaro flakes. Okay, so that is just reasoning through it. That's our first answer. Now, how can we figure out the Tabitha tidbits? If we know Figaro flakes is $5.50 each, right? $5.50. Let me put a little money sign there by it. Then we can probably take one of the shopping carts and count up how many Figaro flakes there are and subtract that from the total. So let's use that first shopping cart. So it looks like there's 4 Figaro flakes. So I'm going to take my $43 and minus 4 Figaro flakes. That's $5.50 each, right? So that's my total cart minus, I think that's $22. So that is $21. And then I have to split that between 3 Tabitha tidbits. So let's split that in 3. So it looks like Tabitha tidbits is $7 per bag of Tabitha tidbits. Okay. All right, let's move on to number 2. We're going to go through the same process, just kind of build our shopping carts and reason about the situation. Okay, let's add my little images. Okay, let's do one more. Duplicate. We got our 2 little shopping carts. And we'll lock that so it doesn't move. Do the same thing here. Lock that so it doesn't move. All right, so the second situation, 1 week Carlos bought 2 bags of Brutus Bites and 3 bags of Milo Munchies. Okay, so 2 Brutus Bites, 3 Milo Munchies. So I'm going to do 2 Bs and 3 Milo Munchies. And that cost him $42.50. So $42.50. Okay, and then the next week he bought 5 bags of Brutus Bites and 6 bags of Milo Munchies. So I'm going to do 5 Bs in this one. 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that time it was $94.25. All right, so that is the situation. Now, looking at these 2 shopping carts, is there anything that's the same? There is not. Is there anything that's close to being the same? So this is what I'm kind of seeing that's close to being the same. The second shopping cart has double the Milo Munchies. So I wonder if we can use that information to help us reason about the cost. So what if we double our first shopping cart? So I'm just gonna like double this one. So that will make it so that they have the same amount of Milo Munchies, right? We're just doubling the cart. The Brutus Bites will end up with 4 of them, and the cost of a doubled cart is not $42.50. It's gonna be $85. We're just doubling everything in that cart, right? Just putting twice the amount in the cart so we can compare it to the second week. So now that we doubled that first cart, do you see there's like only one thing different between the carts? So they have the same Milo Munchies, The Brutus bites right here, we've got one extra. That's pretty sweet. So that means that the extra cost in that second cart must be the cost of that one extra Brutus bite. So let's figure out what that is. So let's go ahead and subtract the cost of our two carts. So we'll do $94.25 minus $85. So it looks like that gets us $9.25. And that is the cost of this extra Brutus bite in that second cart. So that's per bag of Brutus bites. Okay, so we have one of our answers. Now we need to figure out how much the Milo Munchies cost. So why don't we use this that we just got for the first cart, for the original first cart. It looks like we had 2 Brutus bites in there. So let's do $42.50 minus 2 times $9.25, 2 Brutus bites. Let's see what that gets us. That gets us $24, right? So it's $42.50 minus $18.50. So that gets us $24. And that must be the 3 Milo Munchies in that first cart. So let's put that into 3. So it looks like the Milo Munchies are $8 each. So let's write that down. $8 per bag of Milo Munchies. Okay. So no tables, no graphs, no equations. We're just kind of reasoning through. Okay. Let's try another one. So it looks like the next purchase he made was dog leashes and cat brushes. And again, he doesn't remember the cost of each item, but he has his totals. So let's go ahead and add 2 more shopping carts. So add that one. Just make it a tiny bit bigger and lock it. And then let's move my second shopping cart just here to the right. Okay, so now we've got our 2 shopping carts for the dog leashes and cat brushes. And let's add in our information. So he bought 6 dog leashes and 6 cat brushes for $45. So let's put that in our first shopping cart. So 6 of each for $45. So $45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leashes and 6 cat brushes. So I'm just going to use L and B for each item. So brushes, 6 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's his first purchase. And then later in the summer, he had to buy 3 more dog leashes. So in our second shopping cart, let's put 3 more dog leashes. And this time, just 2 cat brushes. And he spent $19 on that second purchase later in the summer. All right, so let's figure out the price of each item based on this and kind of explain our reasoning. So just glancing at the 2 shopping trips, 2 shopping carts, I don't see anything that's the same. But I do see that in the first shopping trip, he bought double the leashes than the second. We could even say in the first shopping trip, he bought triple the cat brushes than in the second. So let's go ahead and use that information to help us compare, right? Because it really helps if one of the items is the same to help us find the price of individual items. So why don't we double our second cart, and that will let us compare the leashes. The leashes will be the same, and whatever's left over must be cat brushes. So we're going to go ahead and double this cart. So double. So everything in it, we're just going to times by 2. So instead of it being $19, it's going to be $38. Instead of 3 leashes, there's going to be 6. Instead of 2 brushes, there's going to be 4. Okay, so let's see, did that help us? Yeah, that totally helped us. Because now we have the same amount of leashes in both shopping carts, but in our first cart, do you see we've got these 2 extra brushes right here? So now we know that whatever additional cost it is for that first cart was the 2 brushes. Okay, so let's figure out how much extra we paid. We're going to subtract our 2 carts. I'm going to do 45 minus $38. So it looks like I've got $7 that is accounting for those 2 extra brushes. So let's split that in 2. So it looks like the brushes are $3.50 each. So per cat brush. Okay, so we found our first unknown. Okay, now let's see if we can figure out the leashes. So why don't we use that second cart? So we know that the second cart originally was $19. And it's got 2 brushes. And we know 2 brushes is $7. So let's do 19 minus 7. So that's $12 left over, which is for the 3 leashes. If I split that into 3, that'll get me the cost per dog leash. So it looks like that's $4 per dog leash. Okay, so that one was not too bad. All right, let us look at another one. Okay, so in our next one week Carlos purchased 2 boxes of cat treats, 3 boxes of dog treats for $18.50. Then the next week he made another purchase, and he even made another purchase on the 3rd week. So when we do these type of problems, if they give us like 3 receipts, do we really need all 3 receipts? I'm kind of thinking that we don't. Let's see if we can figure it out just based on 2 receipts. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm going to add in my little shopping carts and make sure I lock those in place so they don't move. Okay, lock, and there we go, lock. All right. So let's just do the first week and the second week, because I really don't think we need this 3rd week right here. Not needed. Okay, so let's just focus on like the first and second week. So 2 boxes of cat treats. Let's look at that. So 2 boxes of cat treats. Just call those C. And then 3 boxes of dog treats. So D, D, D. And he spent $18.50. Okay, and then the second week, his shopping cart only had 2 boxes of cat treats and 2 boxes of dog treats, and that was $14. Ooh, this is kind of nice. Just comparing the carts, there's only one difference. Like, we don't need to double any cart right here. Do you see just in the first cart, we've got this extra dog treat right there? So that must account for the difference in costs for the 2 receipts. So let's go ahead and do $18.50. $18.50 minus $14, and that must be this one extra dog treat, box of dog treats. So that is $4.50. So $4.50 per box of dog treats. Dog treats. All right, we got our first one. So now let's do our second one. let's look at that second shopping cart. That was $14 for 2 boxes of cat treats, 2 boxes of dog treats. So I think that we could say $14 minus the 2 dog treats, which is $4.50 each. So times $4.50. So that's going to be 14 minus, I think, $9. So for $5, we bought 2 boxes of cat treats. So let's split that in half. So that's going to be, I think it's $2.50 for every box of cat treats. Okay, that one was actually pretty easy. Gave us some extra information that may have like confused us a little bit, but we made it through. All right, let's try our last one. In number 5, Carlos says he's noticed that because of the purchases have been somewhat similar, it's easy to figure out the cost of each item, but he has a last set of receipts that puzzle him. All right, so let's add in our 2 little shopping carts so that we can kind of visualize what's going on. So here's our first shopping cart and our second one. And we're going to lock those in place so they don't move. And let's add in our information. So on Monday, he purchased 3 small bags of cat food and 5 bags of dog food for $22.75. Okay, so let's write that in to our first shopping cart. So $22.75 got him 3 bags of cat food and 5 small bags of dog food. So I'm just going to do C and D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then in the second shopping cart, he had to go back to the store on Thursday. Okay, so in the second shopping cart, he spent $14.25. So $14.25 was the receipt total. And this time he bought 2 cat and 3 of the dog food. All right, so let's look at our 2 shopping carts. So this one, I can't just like double one of the carts to make one of the items match. Is there another way I could do this? So could I still figure out how to make one of the items match without too much work? How about if I double my first cart? So let's say I double this one and I triple my second cart. Will that help? Will that make something match? I think it'll make the cat food, small bags of cat food match. So let's triple that one. So if I do that, then the cost for the first one doubles. So this is going to be $45.50. I'm going to have 3 more cat bags and 5 more dog. And then let's go and triple this other one. So let's triple that. So I'm trying to make something match. I think this will get both the cat food bags to be 6. So I'm going to triple this one. I get $42.75, and then I get 6 cat food, which is awesome because it'll be the same in the other. And for the dog food, I get 9. All right, so now can we compare them? Yeah, do you see that? They have the same amount of cat food, but over here on the left, it looks like they've got 1 extra dog food, right? It's got 10, where on the right it's got 9. So this is fabulous. If I just have 1 extra dog food, then the difference in the prices is going to be that 1 dog food. Okay, so let's subtract our totals. So we're going to go 45.50 minus 42.75. That gets us $2.75 per bag of dog food. Per bag of dog food. Dog food. Okay, now let's figure out the cat food. And I'm just going to use the right shopping cart, the 14.25, like originally, because it's got really small amounts in it. So if I do 14.25 minus the 3 dog food bags, so 3 times 2.75, let's see what I get. That's 14.25 minus 8.25. That gives us $6 left over. And that represents the 2 cat food. So let's split it in half. So it looks like the cat food is $3 each. So $3 per bag of cat food. All right. Looks like we were able to figure that one out too. Awesome. All right, let's move on to our takeaways. So in the takeaways, it says to summarize the strategies you use to reason about the price of individual items in the context of purchasing different combinations. What are some key ideas that seem to be helpful? So the first key idea that I've been thinking about is noticing if the number of one type of item matches, because that's super helpful. Okay. Notice if the amount of one type of item matches. Okay, if that's the case, then we could just subtract the totals for the 2 shopping trips, and whatever money is left over must account for the extra items of the second item purchased. So I think that is a good observation. So we subtract the costs and the money left over is the cost of the extra items. Okay, so that was really helpful. What is something else that's pretty helpful? So something else that was helpful was that we can double or triple one of our shopping carts to help us compare. So that was really helpful. We can double or triple the shopping cart to help us compare the cost of items. All right, I think those are 2 good takeaways. If you have any other things that you noticed, go ahead and add them to your takeaway list. But I think that is good for now. I hope that this was a helpful video, and I wish you good luck on your practice. Thank you.